I never thought a tiny ball of fur could rewrite my destiny, but life has a way of surprising us in the most unexpected, and often ridiculous, ways. It all started on a rainy Tuesday morning, when I was running late for work, juggling a travel mug of lukewarm coffee, an umbrella that refused to open, and my questionable life choices. As I darted across the street, I heard the softest squeak, a sound so small it could have been mistaken for my shoes squealing against the wet pavement. But then it came again, louder this time. I looked down and saw it, a drenched, trembling kitten with fur plastered against its tiny frame, sitting in the middle of the crosswalk like it owned the place. "Are you serious?" I muttered, setting my coffee down on a nearby bench. "You pick now, rush hour, to make an entrance?" The kitten blinked at me, mewed, and promptly tried to climb my leg like I was the tree of life. People were honking, umbrellas were colliding, and there I was, soaked to the bone, scooping up what looked like the feline version of a drowned mop. What I didn't realize was that the kitten wasn't just lost, it was also a professional matchmaker. By the time I got the little furball home, it had already earned a name, Chaos. Because, honestly, that was the most accurate description of my morning. Chaos refused to stay in the box it hastily lined with a towel. Chaos wanted freedom. Chaos wanted adventure. Chaos wanted to knock over everything breakable in my apartment. "Fine," I sighed as I cleaned up a shattered mug. "You can stay until I figure out what to do with you. But only temporarily." Famous last words. Later that evening, I decided to take Chaos to the local vet to check for a microchip. The rain had stopped, the streets were glistening, and my umbrella still refused to open, so I marched into the clinic looking like a wet lettuce. And that's when he walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a smile that could probably power the entire city grid if hooked up to a generator. He was carrying, of all things, a cardboard box that meowed. We locked eyes, both clutching noisy boxes like some strange initiation ritual. He nodded toward mine. "Stray." I nodded back. "You too?" He tilted the box so I could peek inside. Out popped a pair of ears, followed by the fluffiest orange kitten I'd ever seen. "Found him under my car," he explained. Nearly gave me a heart attack when he climbed onto the engine. I laughed, but Chaos took that exact moment to wriggle free from my arms and launch himself across the waiting room like a tiny furry missile. In the chaos, pun very much intended, his kitten leaped out too, and within seconds the two were tumbling together on the floor like long-lost siblings. The receptionist sighed. "Another playdate. Third one this week." And just like that, I found myself on the floor, chasing Chaos while Mr. Broad Shoulders chased his kitten. We collided, literally. My forehead smacked his chin, his box smacked my shoulder, and we both ended up in an undignified heap while the kittens wrestled victoriously beside us. "Guess they're already friends," he said, rubbing his jaw. "Guess so," I groaned, clutching my head. Fast forward a few weeks, and suddenly this man, whose name turned out to be Daniel, was everywhere. Our kittens, who were indeed siblings according to the vet, refused to be separated for long. If I tried to leave Chaos at home, he wailed like an opera singer on opening night. If Daniel tried the same, his kitten, who he had named Ginger, staged full-scale rebellions involving shredded toilet paper and dramatic yowling. So, we started arranging kitten playdates. Which, let's be honest, quickly turned into human playdates with added furballs. At first, it was just casual. Coffee after vet visits. Chats about litter brands and scratching posts. But then there was the infamous spaghetti incident. I had invited Daniel and Ginger over for dinner, mostly as an excuse to let Chaos burn off energy with his partner in crime. Everything was going smoothly until Chaos decided to leap onto the dining table mid-meal. landing directly in the bowl of spaghetti. Red sauce everywhere. On the walls, on Daniel's shirt, on the ceiling. Don't ask me how. Daniel froze, covered in marinara, and then burst out laughing so hard he nearly fell out of his chair. I joined in, tears streaming down my face, while the kittens happily licked noodles off each other like it was the best day of their lives. That was the night I realized two things. 1. Cats have no respect for Italian cuisine. 2. I really liked Daniel. Of course, life couldn't just let things unfold smoothly. One weekend, Daniel mentioned, very casually, that he'd been offered a job in another city. He hadn't decided yet, but the possibility hung in the air like a storm cloud. My heart sank. I wanted to say, "Don't go," but instead I nodded and said something stupid like, "Wow, that's great." The kittens, however, had other plans. Over the next week, they escalated their mischief to Olympic levels. Shoes hidden. Curtains shredded. Keys batted under the fridge. It was as if they sensed our uncertainty and decided to stage an intervention. The grand finale came the night before Daniel's decision deadline. Chaos and Ginger disappeared. Vanished. Poof. We tore through my apartment like maniacs, calling their names, shaking treat bags, searching every drawer and cupboard. Finally, we found them, curled up together in Daniel's open suitcase. Asleep. Like tiny, furry protesters. Daniel stared at them, then at me. "You think they're trying to tell me something?" I swallowed, heart racing. Maybe they don't want to be apart. And maybe neither do we. There was a pause. The kind of pause that feels like the world itself is holding its breath. Then Daniel smiled. The same smile that had lit up that rainy vet clinic weeks ago. "Guess that settles it," he said, closing the suitcase. "I'm staying." From then on, everything seemed to fall into place. Chaos and Ginger became inseparable partners in crime, and so did we. There were still disasters, of course, like the time the kittens knocked over a candle during a power outage and nearly set the rug on fire. Or the time they locked themselves in the bathroom and refused to come out for 3 hours. But through every mess, every laugh, every late night emergency vet run, Daniel and I grew closer. And the funny thing? The kitten I'd once named Chaos turned out to be the best kind of chaos. The kind that rearranges your life in all the right ways. Months later, as we celebrated New Year's Eve together, champagne glasses in hand and kittens perched like little kings on the back of the couch, Daniel leaned close and whispered, "You know, if Chaos hadn't picked you that day, we never would have met." I laughed, clinking my glass against his. Guess we owe them everything. The kittens meowed in agreement, or maybe they just wanted more treats. Either way, the night ended with fireworks in the sky, warmth in our hearts, and the realization that sometimes love doesn't walk into your life on 2 legs. Sometimes, it pads in on 4 tiny paws, dripping wet and meowing like the world owes it dinner. And that's how a stray kitten became the architect of the happiest, most chaotic, most wonderfully tangled love story I could ever imagine.